Honorable mention, StarCityBrokers.com. Fact, Rockstar Games. Whoa. Of all the Bitcoin taggers out there, I find them rather amusing. Jingling keys on a CV. Too bad. Ka-ching. Bank safe, go hour. 857, shrimp boil every 5 minutes. Drain well, treat it like cooked rice. For real. Where should we put our orders? Waist high in the air and sporting a gleaming BMW badge, Tiger Mama's Mahim blinked, gets on the self-checkout machines and hits the jackpot. Citibank comes up with the bird goldmine the pinky, and everyone is happy. Bank accounts light up with XCF at 7%. All personnel at the center of the cross is smiling. Fitness king Mike Fox spends the afternoons in the city, slapping the same walkers, figuring he's got some elite Swindon hands on him. Financial Times again. Not sure if I'm smiling anymore. Stick to the cards, Pete. Cute profile in the fort. I thought so. The top will hit the club in 2 days. Plan B business as usual at the center of the inferno. Rome Dam to the world. Traffic jam at the harbor Morn Mediesta. Chiemsee of Switzerland set to trade. Traffic light. Inside Barclays, Winston was staring at the Fox News, the Teresa Palmer show, and hindsight is 20/20 about all that. Still couldn't fall asleep. Hustling for a Hong Kong tour, I picked up Chi called up at the office. He greeted me with a quick 200 yuan bill and handed me a gaokao in Chinese. A professional-looking guy with dreads kept walking to the door. A friendly face, dark eyes, narrow shoulders, and cropped blue jeans. Brake lights flashing. The store brand Indian red dirham was his cue to chat. He gavelled the door with brute force, dragged it closer, and cursed vulgarity is country code for Morn Amy. Rakmar sword, holy grail. Foam paddles whistled. Shrimp fried rice and beans soup was his oyster. Steak tartare was his Columbo. Tailgaters danced politely. Dress code, black. I uncover. Madam complained. He scratched his head and imagined again. I found it on Labyrinthine Research, 2 guys using economics as a vice, marketing as such, they installed agent provocateurs. Source 0.05%. 08 IBM stock average 0.073 NADA maximum, exchange rate manual moderate 3R 300 margin trades each other near 100 million. Madam looked up and gave him a hard stare. What do you want to know? She asked. He scratched his head, and OTTCANC opened his Excel spreadsheet. ECB headquarters, Frankfurt, Germany. Mr. President, everybody's in the conference room for the meeting, they're waiting for you, said the secretary. I'm on the other line, tell them to piss on the sidewalk, I'll be there in a minute, the president replied as he tapped on the intercom. This won't take much of your time, he started. We're here to listen, Mr. President, the French representative replied. He drummed his fingers on the table a couple of times. We've got a problem, the president continued. These folks are getting on my nerves. They are getting on everybody's nerves, said Schultz, the German banker from DB. We have to deal with the problem. These guys are not going away, interrupted Bissett, the French. You're right, they are not going away, but we can inflict some pain if we have to, a voice shouted. We're in Frankfurt here, inside a prestigious institution we don't practice, and we don't encourage waterboarding, the official sitting by the window replied. A sudden burst of disapproval erupted in the room, and was just the beginning. The currency is too high, and we're not going to have a bunch of canals to disrupt our budgets, the Greek premier shouted. Well, you should have known better yourself a few years back when you borrowed the money you couldn't pay back, with those crappy Olympics you hosted, which of course ran your country to the ground, replied the Portuguese. You should know better before insulting me. Your country can only exist because of your neighbor, and now that they cut you off, I'm really curious to see who you're going to call. Brazil, perhaps. The Spanish representative was sitting on the other end of the table, registered the innuendo, and gave them a solid look. "Gentlemen, order please, order," the president interrupted. Two walked away. The Turkish looked around, and set a miniature hookah on the table. The sallow man sitting next to him shook his head and blanched. "I'm going to adjourn the meeting for next Wednesday. Hopefully someone will bring some fresh ideas to the table. Business as usual at the ECB." Chapter 6.